Turn around. On Friday, we learned about complementary and supplementary angles. When we hear the word complementary, we think of what number? They have to add to 90, good. And supplementary angles add to 180. Okay. So step one here, we see that A and B are complementary angles. And we have to find the measure of each. Well, if they're complementary angles, their measures have to add to what number? 90. This is on page 20. So I'm going to take the two angle measures that it gives me. I'm going to add them together, and I'm going to set them equal to 90. And then I reduce as much as I can. So it would be 2x plus negative x. What does that give me? Yeah, just 1x. So x. And then we have 10 plus 55. 65. So we get x plus 65 equals 90. We subtract 65 from both sides. 90 minus 65? 25. That's what x equals. Was the question asking us to find x? No, it's asking to find A and B. Give us a measure. So what should I do with that x value if I want to find the measure of angle A? Plug it in. The measure of angle A is equal to 2x, so 2 times 25 plus 10. So we end up getting the measure of angle A is 50 plus 10, so 60. What's one bad thing about my answer? Degree symbol. Really start to try to focus on that because your test isn't going to be all multiple choice. There'll be some multiple choice, but there'll be some fill in the blank where symbols will matter. So, measure of angle A is 60. To find measure of angle B, I could plug x back in, but I also know that angle B is complementary to angle A. What angle measure is complementary to 60 degrees? Complementary, add to 90. So what number plus 60 is equal to 90? 30. So I could do negative 25 plus 55 and get 30. Or I could just do 90 minus 60 and get 30. But the measure of angle B is 30 degrees. We could plug x back in, or we could use the fact that we already have angle A. Questions on the warm-up, because we're still going to be dealing with a little bit of more supplementary today than complementary, but we're still going to be dealing with those ideas a little bit. Okay, so on Friday we had three main words. We talked about complementary and supplementary. The other main word that we had was adjacent. Does anyone remember what adjacent angles are? They were angles that shared a side and a vertex. Yeah, they're close to each other, next to each other. So these two angles, this one and this one, would be adjacent because they share this yellow side and this vertex down here. They're angles that are right next to each other. They share that side. Our first big definition, important word today is linear pair. Two angles form a linear pair if they are adjacent angles and they're non-adjacent sides, meaning these non-highlighted pieces. So if those two non-highlighted rays form a line, then we have a linear pair. So for a linear pair, you have a line, and you have two angles created from it with a side being shared. So angle 1 and angle 2 are a linear pair. If you use your arms, you have a line with something like this going through it. Okay? So, again, linear pair are two angles that are adjacent. They share a side and a vertex. And what measure do we think these two angles have to add to?
90.
Not 90. What's the angle measure of a straight line? 180. So they have to add to 180. What's the word for two angles adding to 180? Starts with an S. Supplementary. So a linear pair is a pair of adjacent and supplementary angles, which we talked about on Friday. We just didn't have a name for it. But adjacent and supplementary angles are a linear pair. So angle 1 and angle 2 are a linear pair. So they have to add to 180 degrees. Same thing with angle RSU and UST, the yellow and orange angles. They form a linear pair. They have to add to 180 degrees. What do we think the measure of the yellow angle would be if they have to add to 180? Not 90. We could say the measure of our yellow angle, so USR, plus the measure of our orange angle,
That's 110.
62, is equal to 180. What'd you say?
Yeah, it's 180.
Yeah, perfect. You subtract, we end up getting 118 degrees. So just from the word linear pair, we now have the word supplementary, which gives us our number of 180 degrees. So it's all kind of connected. We see supplementary, we think 180. We see linear pair, we think supplementary, we think 180. They're all connected, just slightly different definitions. Questions about linear pairs? Okay. Our next type, the second important word for today and the last important word of the unit, which is good, is vertical pair or vertical angles. I'll probably typically use vertical angles is how I'll talk about it. But vertical angles are two angles whose sides form two pairs of opposite rays. That is kind of hard to understand without a picture. So for your vertical angles, if this is an angle that I'm talking about, and this side is going to form an opposite ray for the other angle. There's its opposite ray. There's the other side's opposite ray. We end up getting like an X shape. So for vertical pairs, I want you to think of this X shape. And the actual angles that we're talking about are the two angles directly across from each other in the X shape. So those two orange angles or those two teal angles are vertical angles. Notice how you can take your finger and draw a straight line. If I'm looking at the teal ones, I can draw like that actual X shape, that straight line through both of those angles. We'll talk about situations where that's not necessarily the case and why we can't call those vertical angles. But just know that your vertical angles are the ones directly across from each other in your X shape. So for this one, we could say that angle 1 and what other angle would be vertical angles? I think I heard it. Angle 3. Angle 1 and angle 3 are directly across from each other in that X shape. What about angle 4? What is angle 4's vertical angle?
2.
Angle 2. So angle 4 and angle 2 are vertical angles. Also notice how when we have vertical angles, we typically have a linear pair. What two angles here? Well, give me an angle that would make a linear pair with angle 1? What do we think? What angle would make a linear pair with angle 1? Angle 4 for sure, because you would have this straight line in that piece. So we would have a straight line kind of split into two pieces. And also for the same reason, angle 2. Angle 1 and angle 2 would make a linear pair. Let's see what happens with the measure of vertical angles based on this idea that they're kind of closely related to linear pairs. If this angle's 50 degrees, how would we find the measure of this angle? If we look just at, ignore this side for now, if we look just at that linear pair, that 50-degree angle and angle E. Linear pairs are supplementary, so how would I find the measure of angle AED? What angle is supplementary to 50? Supplementary adds to 180. So what number plus 50 equals 180? 130, okay. So this one's 130. This should go away, okay. This is 130. If I do the same thing down here, what's this one going to be? 130, okay. Now if I cover up just this, what's this one going to be? 50. Okay, so what do we notice about vertical angles? We said linear pairs were supplementary. That's how we got the 130 and 50. What about vertical angles? What's the same between these two orange angles? What does that 50 represent?
100.
Their measure. So vertical angles have the same angle measure. They're congruent. So that leads you into these two very important theorems that are going to come up later as well. If you have a linear pair, those two angles are supplementary. We talked about that. We said that the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 had to be equal to 180. And then we just found out, using this postulate up here, we found out that vertical angles are congruent. So that means angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. And angle 2 is congruent to angle 4. They have the same measure. So, linear pairs are supplementary, vertical angles are congruent. That's something that will stay with us for the whole year. It will not go away. So anytime you see this X shape, the angles across from each other are equal, and the angles next to each other add up to 180. So down here is just an example of identifying linear pairs and vertical angles. So we're going to kind of take this one step at a time. For linear pairs, let's look just at angle 1. Does angle 1 make a linear pair with one other angle on here? What do we think? Does angle 1 make a straight line with any other angle? Angle E, there's no angle that has this vertex. So not angle E. Let's use the numbers in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's look this way. Do angle 1 and angle 2 make a linear pair? Angle 1 and angle 2? No. Angle 1, 2, and 3 make a straight line, but not just angle 1 and angle 2. What about angle 1 and angle 4? Do they make a straight line? Yeah. Angle 1 and angle 4, it looks weird. It's like backwards, but they make that straight line that's being cut into two different angles. So angle 1 and angle 4 are a linear pair. What about if I look at angle ABC? This whole angle. That yellow piece. There's two angles that it makes a linear pair with. If I go this way, what numbered angle does that yellow angle make a linear pair with? This whole yellow piece.
Oh,
Angle 1, this one. They make a straight line, and they're adjacent, sharing this side. So we could also say that angle ABC, the yellow angle, and angle 1 are a linear pair. Or angle ABC, this yellow angle, and angle 5. Those are also a linear pair. There's a bunch of different options here. Well, let's move on to vertical angles. Can someone name two angles that are a vertical angle? They are directly across from each other in this X shape. We don't have a nice pretty X shape, but let's look just at this highlighted portion. Looking just at those yellow lines, which two angles are directly across from each other in that X shape? What do we think? What's directly across from 5? Angle 1. So angle 1 and angle 5 are a vertical angle. Or if I look at angle 4 here, angle DBE, is angle 2 directly across from angle 4? Do they make a perfect X shape, or is it a little tilted, wonky, curved?
Tilted.
Yeah, it's a little weird. If you looked at angle 4 and angle 2, your X shape would look not really like an X. It would look like that. It would look a little funky. What about 4 and 3? Would that X shape look a little funky? Yeah. So let's use letters instead. Angle 4 with what other angle makes a nice X shape that doesn't look funky? What do we think? That yellow angle. Yeah, perfect. ABC. Here to here to here. So notice it's not necessarily just that it's like two angles across from each other. They have to make that perfect X shape with their sides. It can't be a wonky X shape where it's turned a little bit. So we could also say angle DBE, angle 4, and angle ABC are vertical angles. Questions on that one? Okay. These ones we're going to crank out really, really fast. Let's just do 2 of them. This 28-degree angle. What is this angle's vertical angle pair? What angle goes with this angle to make a vertical angle? At angle 3. 2, angle 2. And vertical angles are always congruent or supplementary? Congruent. So this angle 2 also has to be 28 degrees because these two angles are the same. And if this one's 28 degrees and it makes a linear pair with angle 1, what does angle 1 have to be? Huh? The same as 3, and what in relation to the 28 degrees? Linear pairs are always supplementary. So what angle measure is supplementary to 28? 152. So angle 1 is 152. And Bella already said that angle 1 is the same as angle 3 because they're vertical angles. So notice, no matter how we look at this, the two angles next to each other add to 180, no matter which way you look at it. And the two angles across from each other are the same. So we're going to do that for the next one as well. What other angle here would have a measure of 124 degrees? What'd you say, Logan? Angle 2. They're vertical angles. They're across from each other. Then if we look at a linear pair and supplementary angles, what does the measure of angle 3 have to be? It has to add to 124 to get to 180, so that would be 56. So these two add to 180, and these two add to 180. And if angle 3 is 56 degrees, what does angle 1 have to be? 56 degrees. Because angle 1 and angle 3 are called a what? It's the new word. Angle 1 and angle 3 are called a? Starts with a V. Not vertex. We just learned it. Go back to your notes. What's the highlighted word that starts with a V? Vertical pair, vertical angles. Okay. Questions on stuff like this. If you have just one angle measure that's known and you have that X shape, you can find all four. Okay, let's skip this one for now for time's sake. Let's go to the very last page. You will have some like this on your homework, where you have to find the value of variables that are parts of linear pairs or vertical angles. So, when you look at stuff like this, I want you to first think, do you have a linear pair or vertical angle? So this first one, what do you think, vertical angle or linear pair?
Vertical angle.
Vertical angle. They are across from each other in the X shape. And vertical angles are supplementary or congruent?
Congruent.
Vertical. Say it louder, Logan. Congruent. Vertical angles are congruent. So their measures have to be the same, and we can set them equal to each other. So those two orange angles have the same measure. We set them equal. And it's because they are vertical angles. Then we solve for our variable. We can subtract 3 from both sides. We get 2r is equal to 86. And then we divide by 2. We get 43. And that's it. It had us find the variable, which we found. So we're good. The next one, if I look at the two angles that I have information for, those two blue angles, are those vertical angles or a linear pair?
Linear pair.
Think about your X shape. Are they across from each other or next to each other?
Cross.
Across, so they are a vertical angles. And for vertical angles, we can set them equal to each other. So we're going to do the exact same thing as the last example. We're going to set each angle measure equal. So vertical angles, you are setting two things equal to each other. And then we solve for x. We can subtract 2x from both sides. And we get x equals 16. The very last one, vertical angles or linear pair for these two. What do we think? Are they across or next to each other? They're next to each other. So they are supplementary and we call them a linear pair. So on a test, it might ask you, can you name a linear pair? And you would have to tell me these two orange angles. That's why vocab is so important. So linear pairs are, like Logan said, supplementary. So these two angles have to add to what number? 180. So we add them together, we set them equal to 180. Let's combine like terms. 20t plus 15t gives us 35t. And then I'm just going to subtract this 5 from both sides as well. So I'll get 175 on the right. Last step, divide both sides by 35. I get t is equal to 5.
What does that say? 35t equals
175. My 1 and 7 are just connected. There you go. Any other questions on that one? This next one is one that is very similar to one that you had in your homework last time. But it says two angles form a linear pair. Show me with your arms what a linear pair looks like. What should I be drawing here? Yeah, very good, very good. Kind of an X, but really just like one piece of it. Something like this. Linear pair, you think of this shape. And then it says, one of the angles is 5 times larger than the other. Let's call the other angle a variable. Let's call it X. It says my other angle is 5 times larger than it. If this one's X, and this one is 5 times larger than X, what do we think I should call this one? 5X. 5 times X. And then we want to know how big each angle is. But the word that I highlighted, linear pair, really tells me everything that I need to know. Linear pairs are what? They add to what? Yeah, 180. They're supplementary. So 5x plus x has to be equal to 180. 5x plus x is 6x. And 180 divided by 6 is 30. And then we take a step back. Did the question ask for x or did it ask for something else? Yeah, it asked for the measure of each angle. So one of those measures is x. 30 degrees is the measure of this angle. What's the measure of this angle? If x is 30. 150. 5 times 30 is 150. So your two angle measures are 30 and 150. Questions on that one? Let's do this one on the right. We'll do the one on the left if we have time. But for the one on the right, this is nearly identical to homework problems and to a problem on your test. So put a star next to it, circle it. You'll want to probably look back at this when you're doing your homework. It's very similar to like the last 3, your hardest problems tonight. When you have something like this, notice how we have 2 variables and we have to find each of them. Do not mix variables unless you have to. What I mean by that is don't set y's equal to x's or don't add x's and y's unless you absolutely have to. So look at all other options before you start doing that. If we look here, and I look at 2y, what angle is it? Does it have x's or y's? Is a vertical angle with this orange one? Does it have x's or y's for vertical angle? It has x's, and I'm not going to use it. I know that these 2 orange angles are equal. I know that. I'm not going to do that because then I'm going to be dealing with y's and x's. Don't make it harder on yourself unless you have to, and you never have to. So don't mix them. Instead of doing vertical angles, I'm going to look somewhere else. Here's a y. This yellow angle has a y in it. What do I know about this orange angle and this yellow angle? What are they? They're a linear pair, and they are supplementary. So I'm going to add them and set them equal to 180. You will do this on your homework. Maybe it's a linear pair that has the same variables, or maybe it's a vertical angle. But don't mix your variables ever. So then we solve for y. 2y plus 3y is 5y. 180 minus 30 is 150. We divide, we get y is equal to 30. Almost. if we wanted to find x, let's look at this yellow angle. Does the other yellow angle help me in any way to find x? So these two yellow angles, should I mix them? No. I see x's and y's. I should not mix them. I should mix this yellow angle with this orange angle, the x plus 5, because they both have x's. So these two are what? Supplementary or congruent? What do we think? They're next to each other. Not congruent. Supplementary. They're called what? They share a side and they're on the same line. They're called a what? A linear pair. So we're using linear pairs again to say that 4x plus 1 or minus 100, that yellow angle, plus the orange angle is equal to 180. For time's sake, if you solve this, you end up getting 55. You guys have like 10 minutes left, so let's end it there. Try to get as much of your homework done as you possibly can. It is the 1.6 part 2 that is listed in Schoology and Big Ideas. Okay, so go do that. Everyone should have a homework or a Chromebook out and be working on homework. Yeah, I got your email. I'll read it today. And then the rest of the Friday, okay? Yeah, another reminder, all of your homework is due on Friday. Kleenex? No, I ran out. I'll just run to the restroom. I'll have to go grab a box. Okay, I'm also going to be checking your notes packets on Friday. So by Friday, make sure you have a decent amount of stuff written down for each section of your notes, because I'll have you turn them in and I'll check them on test day. So on test day, I'll be checking your notes. Make sure you have something written down. Shouldn't be too hard because you should have been writing stuff down the whole time.
Okay, so
Not vertical, this says vertical. This should say vertical. Vertical.
Relationship, because that's not gonna.
It's makes line. Linear makes line. So
Like,
two
I
angles,
actually saw
see
linear
this line
on
anyway?
another.
Right, that line up to column. Two angles right next to each other on a line.
I don't know if he's doing it
This is line.
That would be so cute.
Vertical, I'm not sure where the name came from, but it comes directly across.
Isn't it great? I think.
They're across from each other.
Yeah. I'm gonna get ripped.
Friday, by the time I left, I was connected one thing this morning.
Yeah, the actual line.
Heck. Something with the authenticator on it.
I'm just running out of time. I'm going to try to get your homework done and get started. But it's very, very similar to this course. So you say, okay, you just told me these two are supplementary, so they have to add 20. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take them. I'm going to add them together and set them equal to 180. So make sure we're writing down the right thing here. I added those together and set them equal to 180. Make sure we write down what I put down. We're going to back at it. It's not confusing. So they have to add to 180. And then if we solve it, we got 55. I skipped the actual solving part. Yeah. So again, for everything that you're doing today on Big Ideas, you're probably going to be setting two things equal or adding them to 180. Wasn't that? Yeah. You stay right. Yeah, you get first pass. You sound. You want to bring it up here real quick, actually?
If you add 1 and 2, does that equal 180?
I see, mine does this sometimes.
Right,
too.
like,
It
has
like
to be
needs to be like
plugged in.
extra plugged in before it actually
Like,
turns
girl,
on. How weird, right?
Literally. How was your week going? What did you do? You study or grade testing or sleep?
Slept. I rested. There you go. Isn't that weird?
It is weird.
Hope you feel better, Max. See you tomorrow.
So you think
Or
I
unless
can-
you're sick, then I won't.
Does that mean it's not? Is this
I think that means dead.
1%?
Keep it
But I
plugged
had
in.
it in the whole night.
It might not have been.
I don't.
I'm gonna
Or like, you know, I would put like, there's like a box for it, like maybe that
Yeah.
part wasn't plugged, you know.
Bro. So I'm saying.